Welcome to Black Belt Beauty Radio, a podcast fueled by a passion to support your journey in developing your most beautiful and optimal performance in life. Each episode is driven with the intention to elevate your mind. When we elevate our mind, we elevate our life. So get ready. It's time to rise. What's up, people? Welcome back to Black Belt Beauty Radio. You guys, it's Solosode week, and check it out. I just recorded the most epic Solosode, and I look back at my computer, and that my microphone was fucking shut off the whole time. You guys, wow. I felt like I was just channeling in that, episode that I didn't record. And so, but you know what's funny about this, you guys? Here's the funniest part. This week's topic, this week's Solosode episode is geared around vulnerability. And, I actually walked through this day that I just had yesterday where I woke up and I just felt vulnerable. And, it's interesting before I go into it, because I'm going to do my best to kind of channel again and, deliver an amazing episode for you guys. Holy shit. When I looked at my screen, I instantly felt vulnerable. Like, are you kidding? I felt so good recording that episode. And all of a sudden I look at my screen and I'm like, oh shit, your mic was off the whole time. But maybe it's going to add to maybe this episode. In fact, let me go ahead and start by saying I believe that what I'm about to throw down is going to be even more amazing than this episode I thought I was recording, but actually wasn't. So here we go, you guys. Yesterday morning, I wake up and, I typically wake up and I feel very vivacious. That's the best word that feels appropriate to use, because I wake up and I feel energized and I feel like ready to attack, to crush. I feel excited, eager, inspired. Ultimately, I'm feeling very confident. I'm feeling very, in a state of trust, and allowing this energy to help me get through challenging parts of my day, my work life, and essentially move me through my day, right? Maneuver through my day. Yesterday is such a standout day to me because I don't really wake up feeling so vulnerable often, right? Which doesn't mean I don't have these days. It just means it's not that common. So when it arrives, it's like I can really feel it, right? And so, I go through my morning, and as I do my journaling, I do my meditation, I work on some work stuff that had to get done, and that always feels good because progress always feels really good, to me personally, and, got my movement in, got some vitamin D, so it was a solid morning. It's not like I woke up vulnerable and I just paused and didn't make any didn't take any steps forward. I didn't sit in the emotion. I just kind of acknowledged it, right? And then I had a session with my business coach, my amazing business coach, Amina. And typically, our sessions tend to be kind of fast paced. And, the joke is she's just so agile with me because I'm throwing speedballs at her, 100 miles per hour, catch, we're over here, now we're over here, now we're over here. And, they're focused and there's a lot of clarity. And then yesterday's session, just felt like I was moving through the mud mentally. And what that means is it felt like I just wasn't as clear. I wasn't as sure about certain things. And so from that, it was hard to kind of deliver to her certain answers and things to keep driving the business forward and whatnot. And so, by the end of it, but hey, let me say this. Obviously, this stuff is important because, for anyone who is building a business from a place of vision, from a place of authenticity. There's no roadmap. It's not like I'm not following a guide of do this, do that, and you're guaranteed to win. It's it's such a intuitive operation, right? And an authentic operation. And so that means I'm hanging out on the fucking ledges every single day of my life. I'm putting myself there, obviously, and I'm taking leaps forward off of them, from a state of confidence and trust and inspiration, but not necessarily a state of certainty. It's not like it's a guarantee that, when I do this, it's going to give me this for sure. Right. And so, it's natural to have, moments like this where, there might be a little less confidence at time or a little less clarity or whatnot. But at the end of this particular session, I said to Amina, I'm sorry. I feel like I was, a little all over the place. And she said to me, are you kidding? I don't even think it's possible to love you more, but, I do. It just shows me that you have these days and like you are so human. And that really resonated with me. First of all, I totally understand where she's coming from because, there's something to be said about when you feel someone going through something or have gone through something, it's so relatable. And it's so relatable because of this. This is my thought about it. Every single human on earth can relate to the feeling of pain and discomfort, of even sadness, certainly vulnerability. And what that looks like and how it comes to us, that's where it varies, right? Everyone's life is going to deliver it in some different kind of ways. I did that on purpose, ways, right? But we all know what it feels like. And so when you can feel someone going through one of those emotions, it's like, man, whereas like it might be harder to feel, relate to someone's success, right? Because that's, going to vary in everyone's life as well. And that's just a harder thing to connect to because some people just don't have this specific kind of success in their life yet, but everyone has fucking felt some kind of pain in their life, some kind of discomfort and challenge. And so, I think for her to, always see me in such a strong, resilient, I got this place to be like, fuck, I don't know. Like I don't know the answer to this right now. From, in a very vulnerable way. It touched your heart. And, the thing about that made it really interesting for me that I really kind of zoomed out in that moment on is that, she's not the first person who said that to me. Like, wow, so you have these days. Not so you have these days as if there's this assumption that I never do. I mean, listen, if you listen to this podcast, or even if you've been following me on Instagram, like I definitely talk about, how I maneuver through challenge. And, yes, I deliver it from a very resilient, place because that is how I channel myself in my life. Right. So, I'm not the person who's going to give you the Instagram post where I'm crying and I'm bringing you into this state of vulnerability and discomfort from that perspective. That's just not where, and I'm not saying that in some kind of judgmental, minimizing way to whoever is sharing their vulnerabilities that way. I promise, I mean that from all my heart, like to each his own. It's just not everything that I share, you guys, is coming from two places, right? It's coming from inspiration. So I feel very inspired to share it. And it's coming also from a place where I feel like there's going to be great value to you, to my community, to the wider audience in sharing this information, this content, right? And so for me, crying and, showing that level of vulnerability it's such a beautiful experience. It's so intimate to me that I just have it's just not where I'm inspired to, I'm not inspired to share it with the world. Right. And I think because it's sacred to me. And here's the misconception. I think sometimes, very strong people who really don't share their vulnerable moments as much, it can almost seem like, maybe, and I'm not saying that anybody's put this on me, but maybe there's somebody out there. I'm just kind of painting a picture that, maybe it can seem then that like feeling vulnerable can feel like something that, there's shame attached to it, or it's like you're trying to suppress it because you're strong. And I can tell you right now with all of my fucking truth in this statement, that is the furthest thing that I am feeling when I feel vulnerable. I feel beautiful. I feel human. I feel open. I feel connected. I feel soft. I feel supple. I feel malleable. Malleable. That word is hard for me. So interesting. Do you guys have hard words to say too? Yeah, I just feel soft and beautiful. And, and in that, like, that's for me, you guys, or maybe my very, very closest. But I certainly am never, ever suppressing the emotion. I am never ashamed of the emotion. I am not judging myself for it. I am not afraid to tell you, the world, right now that abso-fucking-lutely I am going through vulnerable moments in my life. I mean, listen, everything that I am choosing to embark on in my life, to create, to, hold myself to, like, all of it invites so much vulnerability because it's just not a set path, and it's not, it's such a state of, it's an operation of inspiration and intuitiveness. And, there's just the variables are shifting, and there's a lot of answers that I don't have yet, and all that stuff that can make me, and certainly does make me, feel vulnerable at times, and yesterday morning, listen, I cried. I had just a couple minutes of just sitting down with myself and just releasing emotions. And, listen, sometimes I think that this also boils down to biology. Like, I'm definitely in the window where there's PMS happening, right? So, like, that's a reality too. And I'm not saying that to try and minimize, like, like, I'm not trying to brush it off on anything else, but biology is always something that I do consider. It is how could I not? Like, how could you not? You're feeling anxious. What's your sleep like? What's your diet like? Are you watching the news at fucking before you go to bed and right when you wake up? That'll definitely make you anxious, So, your mind and how you're taking care of yourself, all of that has to be considered as well when we do start to feel, less resilient, not as strong, more vulnerable. But, in saying that, while I certainly am in the window and my hormones could most definitely, and in fact probably are, we're playing into this feeling that I was going through yesterday, I also do acknowledge that it's not just my hormones. My hormones are just highlighting something that I'm already feeling inside, right? And like expanding on it. So I'm feeling it much more intensely. And I was okay with that, so I had a little cry in the morning. And the thing is for me, you guys, like, I don't cry often, and, but that doesn't mean I don't cry. I fucking do. And it almost makes it more special to me when I do cry. It's like, damn, okay. You're really in it, Rox. Like, you're feeling it. And, the beautiful part about that for me, you guys, is I'm not crying, in this woe is me, and it's hopeless, and I'm never going to figure it out. And that kind of, I'm not coming at myself from that angle, even in my, teary moments. It's just more of a release where I'm like, fuck. And here's what happens when I cry. This is literally what happened yesterday. Having this moment with myself, sharing some tears, and this is my self-talk out loud. You're good. I love you. Roxy, you've got this. You are right on time. You are on your highest path. I know you want the answers to certain things right now, but they're coming. I promise you, girl. I got you. You're good. Keep going. You're getting closer. I got you. You're good. That is literally exactly fucking what went down yesterday morning while I was crying, And that's why, it's also a very intimate moment and feeling for me. It's something that I hold sacred. And once I got that out and I had that little cry, it certainly felt a lot better. I wasn't totally released to the vulnerability. I kind of, to be honest, all day I was feeling vulnerable, until, I started to feel stronger when I took my ass to the gym at the end of the day. I got a long, beautiful, run in, which allowed me to feel like I was meditating, and obviously my body's getting a lot of benefits as well. But you know what's so rad, you guys? I went through the day and I didn't have to, like, there was never any victim in me, right? I just accept that, listen, this is fucking par for the course. If you're stretching yourself every day, if you're working on, developing big, beautiful things in your life and you're not being complacent and you're going to be challenged and you're going to wake up and you're going to feel vulnerable. You're going to have these moments. So when these moments come for me, they don't trip me out. It's like, yeah, well, of course, here you are. So I lean into it. I allow myself to feel it. I allow myself to, I respect it. I honor it. What I don't do is this. I don't dig deeper and, make things harder on myself. I don't overanalyze, like, why am I feeling this way? Why, because again, like, okay, probably a little PMS and equal parts, if not more, because, hey girl, you're doing some hard shit in your life. You're like building a fucking epic business and you're doing it all. I mean, there's a lot of great reasons why I would be feeling this way, right? And so, I didn't have to sound the alarm and call everybody and like, just start venting. Like, no, I had, a couple of beautiful phone calls with my mom. And even in those calls, you guys, wasn't like, I was like, Mom, I don't know. And da da da. I just was like, Mom, I'm fucking feeling vulnerable. Just literally feeling a little bit more insecure today. And I get it. Like, I know that this is part of the process. And so, I respect it. But yeah, it's a little uncomfortable, but I know I got this. So it's like, it just felt good for me to be able to share that with her. But I didn't come at her in this like, help, kind of way. And look, what I'm sharing with you guys is just my personal process, my perspective. However you need to do it, get yourself through these moments in a healthy way that makes you feel strong and resilient. And, that's on you, right? Like, I don't ever want to be putting anybody's process down, because maybe some people do need to call and vent in their own unique way to whoever it is that they need to do that with, and that helps them. But I think, for me, you guys, I really see myself as a thought leader in personal empowerment. And I say that from a very authentic place because I am keeping myself very empowered as I maneuver through my life and all the challenges that I face within it, right? And so, this is how I do it. This is how I stay out of this kind of victim mentality. And this is how I stay very strong and resilient and allow myself to keep moving towards challenge so that I can keep growing myself and growing my life in all the desirable ways and actualize, the beautiful vision that I hold for my life. Like, this is it right here, so it only makes sense that I'm going to share with you guys this, even vulnerability from this perspective, like how I maneuver through my vulnerable process. It's going to be through a very strong place, right? Talking myself the way that I did while I'm crying. That right there says everything. I'm allowing myself to cry. I'm allowing myself to feel soft and vulnerable and have all the feelings, but I'm also holding myself up and being my best friend and having my own back and reminding myself that yes, you fucking can. And yes, you fucking are. And it's okay. And so, at the end of the day, yesterday it was beautiful. I had those beautiful set calls with my mom, and I was able to open myself up and receive love from her, which is really all I wanted, right? Like, that's all, that just felt perfect for me. Had, my amazing support from my beautiful business coach, and that felt incredible to me as well. Took my ass to the gym, had my long run. I showed up for myself physically. That felt amazing as well, and did like hash out a lot of great work. So there was progress made. And by the end of the night, you guys, I literally fell asleep with my hand on my heart. And I just said, I love you. And I'm so proud of you. And, when I get through days like this or moments like this, and I witnessed myself authentically maneuver through it, allowing myself to take in all the emotions, all the feelings, all the things, but never crumble to it, right? And never allow it to become something worse and something that I do not need, some unnecessary emotion of now I just feel like shit. And now I'm not just having a bad day, I'm having a bad week. And now I'm stressed out and now I'm sick, because that's really what happens. It's a, downward spiral. Why is that so hard for me? It's just, there's a snowball effect. You know what I mean? Like, so, and part of that comes when we don't when we try and like put resistance in the situation, and when we try and overanalyze and make things harder on ourselves, rather just like floating with it, like being more fluid with it. Like, okay, I see you, I'm with you, I get it. And you're a passing moment and we're good. So, when I get through these days, you guys, it's another fucking stripe on my belt of yes, I can, and I got this. And, that always feels really good, because guess what? It ain't going to be the last day. Hell no. The bigger, that I'm going for things in my life, the higher the ledges, the more of these opportunities for vulnerable, emotional states to come into my life, vulnerable days. And, the thing is that with all these stripes in my belt, every time I get through it, I just know that it's just another day and I'm going to get through it again. And, it's important to acknowledge that. It's important for you to right now look at your life and go, yeah, I've gotten through a lot of vulnerable, hard times, right? And so that when they come back again, when you feel like this, it's like you can get through it because you have before. So why can't you again? And that's always my thought. Like, well, I've done it before. Why can't I again? Of course, it probably feels harder every new time, because guess what? There's just new levels of challenge that you're inviting into your life, hopefully for great reasons. Certainly that is the case in mine. I'm working on bigger things than I ever have before in my life. So fucking A, yeah, there's going to be bigger challenges that are going to apply more vulnerable periods of my life than ever before. So, I think how I want to wrap out this episode for you guys is I want to take a breath and take a moment. And, I want to speak to all of you guys who might be feeling vulnerable in this exact moment right now. And I want to be a voice of strength for you in this moment. I want to remind you that while you may not have all the answers and all the solutions, and, you're hanging in this zone of uncertainty, whether it's in your finances, your business, your relationship, your health, your school life, like any of those important areas of our lives, like wherever you are feeling vulnerable from, I just want to remind you that, you do have this incredible asset called your attention, and how you are choosing to focus your intention can play a big fucking factor, a big role in how you maneuver through this moment, this vulnerable moment, and how you get on the other side of it. So like yesterday when I was feeling this way, I acknowledged it, but all I kept doing, you guys, is I kept reminding myself of all the things that I believed in, that I knew I was working to bring into my life, and believing that, I'm capable, that it's all coming, I'm right on time. So it's like all my focus and my attention didn't go into, oh, I feel vulnerable, but instead it went into the outcomes that I want to summon into my life, the answers, the solutions, the opportunities, the experiences, the people, like all of it. I just kept looking in that direction. And yes, sometimes, when you're feeling vulnerable, it's harder to do that, right? Because it can feel like you could just feel heavier, right? And I felt that all fucking day, but that didn't stop my ability to choose where I was focusing. So I want to invite you to keep your beautiful, powerful fucking attention on the best possible outcomes for you right now. Because at the end of the day, you guys, none of us really know what's going to happen in this next moment, right? So in essence, every single human is walking around every second of every minute of every hour of every fucking day vulnerable, because we don't know what's going to happen next, right? And so why not channel your energy and your focus into a place that can make you feel better and serve you? Like, why not? Right? It's like, just makes sense to me. And so, and it helped. I mean, listen, I woke up today and I felt like a fucking beast, and I powered through great things. And you know what's awesome? Guess what? Yesterday fucking inspired me to create this episode that I feel very, 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 I feel very connected to wanting to share with you right now. Like, I feel like I'm really speaking to your hearts right now. Like, some of you literally are fucking taking this in your exact moment of life. And maybe this is literally a voice of strength that you need right now in this vulnerable moment. And that gives me chills right now. That gives me chills because I know that that's possible. That is a reality. I felt that in my own way, listening to something or reading a book, and it served me in that perfect timing as well. So I'm trusting that the timing of this is perfect for you. And, just in general, like even if you're not vulnerable right now, maybe you're feeling like a fucking beast like me today, but keep it in your back pocket that when this time comes around for you again, you always have the power to honor the emotion and not add resistance to it, not make it bigger than it needs to be, and then to channel your energy into, places that can serve you and summon, the best possible outcomes for you that you desire into your life. And also, I think in summary, I want to say that you guys, yes, I am absolutely fucking human. And while I love, living this kind of high performing life and, feeling, just high energy and crushing it in as many minutes as I can in the day, I am certainly soft, and I am certainly embraceful of how vulnerable and, sensitive really I actually really am. And, I value it. The best way for me to kind of draw a parallel is, I just feel like one of my favorite movies of all time is The Gladiator. And when you watch him, I mean, he's incredible. He's so powerful. He executes like a fucking he's a hero. He's remarkable, right? He's so strong, so courageous, so resilient, but he is so vulnerable throughout the whole movie. It's like, it's undeniable to me. Like I feel that emotion in him, such great acting, right? And the thing about that really resonates with me is that you don't have to feel strong. It doesn't mean that vulnerability doesn't exist. Not at all. Like it does exist. It's just a matter of what you choose to do with it, And so I choose to embrace moments. Not even the moments, but just that I am vulnerable. Every single day I'm vulnerable. Some days I will feel more vulnerable than others, and that is like the dominating feeling. But in general, I'm always vulnerable. You know why? Because I'm fucking putting myself out there. I'm following no one's rules. I'm operating from my intuitive self, from my heart, from a, place of passion and vision. And that right there makes me fucking vulnerable. So if that's what you're doing too in your life, fuck yeah, I'm high-fiving you with all of my heart. And, I think that's it, you guys. I feel really good. And yes, while the first episode that I thought I was recording, but wasn't, was epic, I think that this was just right there next to it, just as good, if not even better. So one last thing before I bow out, you guys, I know in my outro, I talk about like the importance of, reviewing this podcast and, rating it with the stars. But I want to ask in a real time moment, you guys, so the whole thing is that the more that I can get this podcast, more awareness to the podcast, the more that I can just keep bringing on more amazing guests for you guys and just keep growing this podcast. And I know that it is already serving so many of you in such incredible ways. I know because I get the feedback. And I also feel it, and, everything that I envision for this podcast, it's big, man. It's fucking big. So, in order for me to get to this vision, you guys, I do need to take moments like this where I ask you with all my heart in real time, if you would not mind just, even if you're listening to this episode on your phone, on the podcast app, on your iPhone, if you scroll down to the bottom of the all episode pages, or page for Black Belt Beauty Radio, it'll give you the option to write a review. Or even if you don't have time to write a review, I get it. It's hard. If you could just hit all the stars, that does a lot too. If you can write a review, fuck yeah. Thank you so much. And to every one of you who have already taken the time to submit a review, I appreciate you so, so much. So much. So, it would be really helpful. I would appreciate so much. So thank you in advance to anybody who is going to take some time to write a review or even just hit all those stars and rate it. And, thank you again to all of you amazing people who have already done that. I love you guys. And I really do hope that this episode, it felt really good for you guys to take in and really serves you in a very valuable way, is supportive. And I would love to know. I would love to, hear from you guys. Instagram, DM me, throw this up on your story. Let me know you're listening to it. I'm starting to do more live videos, not my comfort zone, which is also why I'm doing it, because, I like to seek the fucking fight, move towards the challenge, but also just so that I can be more present, in a very real time way and connect with you guys. As far as I'm concerned, this podcast is really a community, and, everything attached to it, social media, it's a community. And that means that we are all working together and we're communicating together. So I want to make sure that I'm as, available as I can be in a healthy way, to engage with you guys on this level. So, on that note, you guys, Roxy Look and Black Belt Beauty are my Instagram accounts. Find me there. I love you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to take in this entire episode. And, I'm always looking forward to being right here with you again on the next week. So lots of love.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode, you guys. If you loved it, please share it on your social. Throw it up on your Instagram stories and tag me. I'm at Black Belt Beauty. I am also at Roxy Look, RoxyLook. I love connecting with you guys. This is a conversation that I want to just continue growing with you guys. So if you feel inspired to hit me up, do so in that space. I always enjoy hearing from you. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by rating it and reviewing it via iTunes. It's such supportive help, you guys. It really helps the visibility of this podcast. So I appreciate and thank you in advance for doing that. And last but not least, if you are interested in starting your own podcast, or perhaps you already have one and you need help with, editing your audio and the production of it, I cannot recommend my producers enough. Resonate Recordings, you guys, they are the bomb. I rely on them. They are an absolute supportive tool to me and my podcast. So check them out and let them know that Black Belt Beauty sent you. And on that note, you guys, I'm signing off with all my love and always looking forward to catching you on the next.